What if the key to unlocking hidden dimensions of your mind has been passed down through millennia, concealed within sacred rituals, deep meditations, and altered states of consciousness?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
From ancient yogis in India to shamans in the Amazon, you see countless cultures that have explored ways to enhance human perception, to tap into a deeper truth about our existence.
Right. And this universal pursuit of, expanded awareness is often symbolized by one powerful, enduring concept, the third eye.
It's this idea of an inner eye.
Exactly. It's a truly global phenomenon. This idea of a faculty for non-ordinary perception appears in traditions spanning continents, but, the concept is certainly highly subjective and culturally interpretive.
It must be. It would vary wildly from, say, a pure energetic metaphor to, a physical induced trance state.
Precisely. But the sheer consistency is what makes it so compelling.
Absolutely. So our mission today is, it's ambitious. We're diving deep into the ancient practices used to cultivate this third eye, this state of heightened intuition and deeper perception.
And we're looking at this long before modern science could offer us, neurochemistry or brain scans.
Yes. We want to know, what did they do and why did they believe it worked?
We're going to try and map out these technologies of the self that were developed by 4 major cultural systems based on the material we've got.
Okay, where do we start?
First, we'll explore the path of internal discipline. The really profound Indian yogic traditions.
The path of stillness.
The path of stillness. Then we pivot to the path of ecstasy, indigenous and shamanic methods that use sound and entheogens.
Right.
Third, we'll look at the subtle internal focus of Taoist inner alchemy. And finally, we'll examine the really intriguing symbolism found in ancient Egypt and its more modern esoteric interpretation.
And what's the through line here? What connects all of these?
What's fascinating here is how many distinct, geographically separate cultures arrived at similar methods for altering consciousness, even if they called the experience by entirely different names.
Okay, let's unpack this then. If we're talking about the third eye, we absolutely have to start with the foundational spiritual system that really popularized the term in the East.
The Indian tradition.
And the highly structured system of the chakras. This is, as you said, the path of absolute stillness.
Indeed. In Hinduism, the third eye refers specifically to the Ajna, or the brow chakra. It is the 6th of the primary energy centers, or chakras.
And it's often visualized as being located where exactly?
Right in the center of the forehead, precisely between the eyebrows.
And it's crucial for you, listening, to internalize this right at the start. Ajna is not a part of the physical body we can dissect in an anatomy lab.
No, absolutely not. The sources stress that it exists within the pranic system.
The subtle energy body.
Subtle body, exactly. The energetic body that governs life force, or prana. It's not the brain. It's conceived of as an energetic vortex.
So the name itself, Ajna, what does that actually mean in Sanskrit?
Right, it translates to something like authority or command.
Command. Okay, so that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about its function, right? It's the command center.
Exactly. It's considered the commanding circle because it's the point from which you are supposed to direct and master the other 5 lower chakras and control the flow of energy.
So it's the seat of intuition and intellect.
Right. And interestingly, the associated sense organ is not the eyes or ears, but the mind itself.
That makes a lot of sense. If it's the commanding center, it has to be the seat of intellect and will. And its spiritual significance is, it's immense.
It is. The Ajna signifies the unconscious mind and is said to act as a direct, unimpeded link to Brahman.
And Brahman is the ultimate, unchanging, infinite reality in Hindu thought.
That's correct. It's believed that accessing this center grants abilities far beyond the physical, like the capacity to communicate with the world on an energetic level, or even receive information or messages from the past and the future.
It's the portal to non-dualistic awareness.
That's the idea.
And we see this reference visually manifested everywhere in Hindu culture. The application of the tilak or the bindi directly to that spot.
It's an act of acknowledging and protecting that sacred center of consciousness.
Exactly. And iconographically, you see this wisdom externalized in these powerful deities like Shiva.
Shiva is often referred to as Trambakadeva, which means the three-eyed Lord. The third eye here symbolizes the power of profound knowledge, the detection of evil, and the ability to burn away illusion.
So when Shiva opens his third eye, things change drastically.
Oh, yes. It's the power of absolute transformative awareness.
The visualization of the Ajna chakra itself is Well, it's complex and beautiful. The sources describe it as a diamond-like lotus of 2 petals.
It's a wonderful metaphor. That imagery reflects the complexity of the energy system they envisioned.
So what do the 2 petals represent?
Those 2 petals represent the meeting point of the 2 key psychic energy channels, or noidis.
The Ida and Pingala.
The Ida and Pingala. The Ida is the lunar channel, representing cool, feminine, restful energy running up the left side of the spine.
Okay, the left side.
And the Pingala is the solar channel, representing hot, masculine, active energy running up the right side.
So you have the sun and the moon, yin and yang, meeting right there in the middle of the forehead.
Precisely. They meet the central neutral channel, the Sushumna Nadi, before rising up to the crown. The letters Ham and Shem are contained on the petals.
Representing Shiva and Shakti.
Exactly, symbolizing the union of these dualistic energies before they're transcended. So to open the Ajna is to integrate these fundamental opposing forces within your own system.
This intricate symbolism really shows how central the Ajna is. It's the final confluence point before pure consciousness. But as we noted, getting there isn't about passive waiting.
No, it requires incredibly disciplined practices.
Which brings us to the first major technique for achieving that command, Jangama Dhyana.
Or the meditation on eternal existence.
This is an ancient technique, famously rediscovered and taught by masters like Sri Shiva Balyogi Maharaj. The core mechanism sounds, well, deceptively simple.
It does, but mastery must be intensely difficult. You concentrate the mind and sight in the middle of the forehead, the Trikuti, which is the precise energetic location of the Ajna chakra.
And the path to mastery here follows this classical step-by-step approach laid out in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali.
Right, and elaborated upon by great teachers like Swami Vivekananda. It's a progression of internal focus.
Okay, let's go through those stages for you at home, because this is really the fundamental blueprint for yogic mind control.
It starts with dharana,
which is just concentration.
Simple concentration, yes. You fix the mind usually on an internal location like the Trikuti or your breath. It's the effortful part, holding the attention steady. But the mind is, notoriously jumpy.
So you just have to keep bringing it back over and over.
Over and over. Then, if you can hold it long enough, that leads to dhyana.
Which is effortless meditation.
Exactly. If that concentration, dharana, becomes so intense that the mind flows in an unbroken current towards that point, they say like oil pouring smoothly from one vessel to another, that's dhyana, you're now effortlessly immersed.
And the final stage?
Samadhi, or ultimate absorption. This is when one rejects external perception entirely to meditate only on the internal meaning, becoming totally absorbed in the object of concentration.
Or in the case of Ajna, absorbed in the ultimate reality, Brahman.
That's the goal, total integration.
The sources include this famous and really illuminating anecdote about the 19th century yogi, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. It illustrates the sheer difficulty of achieving that final stage.
Nirvikalpa Samadhi.
A complete standstill of the mind.
It's a phenomenal story because it shows the necessity of both the technique and the guru's command. Ramakrishna was meditating intensely, trying to reach this ultimate state.
Right.
But he was constantly blocked by a persistent, beautiful vision of the goddess Kali, whom he profoundly worshipped.
So his devotion was actually acting as his final psychological barrier.
Exactly. The idea that your deepest identity or attachment, even a deeply spiritual one, can be the last impediment to total liberation.
So what happened?
His guru, Totapuri, recognized this barrier instantly. According to the text, Totapuri took a sharp piece of glass, or a pebble, and physically stuck it right between Ramakrishna's eyebrows, that Trikuti point.
Wow.
And he thundered, "Concentrate the mind on this point. Pierce the last barrier."
That's incredibly forceful.
It's direct, and the account says, "The last barrier fell. My spirit at once soared beyond the relative plane, and I lost myself in samadhi."
It's a beautiful, violent, and direct instruction that emphasizes the physical anchoring required for such subtle work.
It forces the focus past all attachment, even devotion, into that pure, non-dual state.
That anchoring, that sheer focus on the Trikuti seems to be the engine of self-mastery here.
It is. Remember, the point between the eyebrows is the commanding circle. Total unwavering concentration there leads one to become the commander of one's mind, directing the flow of consciousness rather than being dragged along by it.
And for anyone listening who might be interested in practicing meditation like this, what is the most crucial piece of guidance from the teachings?
The greatest secret of this meditation, as taught by modern masters like Sri Shivarudra Balayogi, is absolutely critical. Do not analyze any thoughts, visions, or spiritual experiences that appear.
But doesn't saying do not analyze run completely against the entire goal of modern spiritual seeking? I mean, we're taught to process everything, to analyze trauma and experience.
And that's the modern cognitive bias we have to challenge here. In this ancient context, the source explains that these appearances, whether they're visions, past memories, or just distracting thoughts, are simply part of the purification process.
Like dirt being expelled when you vigorously wash clothes.
That's the exact metaphor they use. If you get emotionally involved, or if you analyze them and give them significance, the mind just acquires new imprints and the cleaning process stops. You have to treat them like background noise.
So the goal isn't the vision itself. The visions are a side effect.
A side effect, exactly. The goal is the stability achieved through the practice. The only true, reliable symptom of progress in Jangama Dhyana is not visions or extraordinary experiences, but a sustained, deepening sense of greater peace and stability.
Okay, let's move to a related and slightly more physical yogic discipline that focuses the gaze. Treka.
Or fixed gazing. This is listed as one of the 6 yogic purification methods, the akarma.
So what does Treka mean?
It means look or gaze, and it's often considered the preparatory training wheels for Jangama Dhyana. The classical technique involves staring intensely at a single point, a symbol, a black dot, or most commonly, the steady flame of a candle.
And you do this without blinking.
Without blinking until tears naturally flow.
Staring at a single point until your eyes water sounds. Physically demanding. What are the traditional goals listed in the text for doing this?
The goals listed in foundational texts like the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Karanda Sahita are very specific. They describe it as purifying the senses, eradicating eye diseases, fatigue, and sloth.
So there's a physical cleansing aspect.
Yes, but beyond that, it's fundamentally a concentration exercise. It prepares the practitioner for that much deeper concentration stage, dharan. The physical strain helps silence the external distractions.
And here is where it gets really interesting for you at home. We can simply bridge this ancient technique designed for spiritual purification to modern cognitive science. It's an amazing convergence.
It really is. I mean, when you hold an unwavering gaze like that, you are forcing the mind to cease its chaotic activity. You're engaging the visual cortex intensely. And preliminary studies from modern research have suggested potential measurable benefits from Traka on cognitive performance.
What kind of measurable benefits are we talking about? What's showing up in the lab?
Well, researchers noted improved working memory, spatial memory, and spatial attention. They measured this using tools like the Corsi block tapping task.
Which is a standard psychological test, right?
A standardized test, yes. It's designed to assess short-term visuospatial memory. And the practitioners who utilized Treka showed a better capacity to recall and sequence spatial information.
That's fascinating. And there's more evidence regarding attention, too.
Yes. Another controlled study showed significant improvements in selective attention, cognitive flexibility, and response inhibition. They measured this using the rigorous Stroop color word test.
The one where you have to say the color of the word, not the word itself.
That's the one. And the ability to filter out irrelevant information and switch mental tasks efficiently improves significantly in those who practice the fixed gaze.
So an ancient spiritual technique designed to purify the senses and steady the mind is showing up in modern labs as a powerful way to improve executive function, the mental skills we use to get things done.
Right. That bridge between esoteric practice and measurable modern neurology is stunning. It confirms that these were, at the very least, robust cognitive training systems. They might have called the end result samadhi, but the mechanism involved measurable changes in brain function and focus.
However, we do need to add the traditional caution here.
Absolutely. Traditional instructions always emphasize that practice must be gradual. And anyone with serious eye conditions like glaucoma or retinopathy should definitely seek professional advice before attempting intense fixed gazing.
The goal is always peace and concentration, not physical strain.
Always.
So we've covered the path of stillness and disciplined concentration using the eye, both internal with Jangama Dhyana and external with Trika. The common denominator seems to be laser focus. We've locked down the visual senses, but what about the auditory? How do cultures use sound and vibration to achieve a similar internal discipline?
That connection between visual concentration and auditory focus is essential because the mechanism is similar. You're forcing the mind into a specific narrow channel of perception. In the yogic tradition, sound vibration is integral to Ajna activation through mantra.
And the ultimate seed syllable, of course, is Om or Ayam.
Yeah.
It's often referred to as the supreme sound of the universe.
It is considered the sound of creation itself. Om is believed to be the basic vibration of the world, containing all other sounds. It signifies the essence of the ultimate reality, or consciousness Atman.
And its power is thought to be immense because it encapsulates the very beginning and end of existence.
Exactly.
So how exactly do these mantras work to activate the third eye?
Mantras, especially these monosyllabic seed sounds, or bija, function by producing specific resonant frequencies. When you speak or chant them aloud, the vibration isn't just heard by your ears, it's physically felt in your head and upper body.
You can feel it resonate.
Right. And it's believed that these vibrations specifically activate the energy of the respective chakras, purifying and balancing the mind and body as the energy resonates in that associated center, in this case, the Ajna region of the forehead.
This idea that sound vibration is tied directly into consciousness itself is also central to other traditions. Let's look eastward toward Taoist inner alchemy in China, where the goals are similar, but the concepts are, well, a little different.
Taoism refers to this entire process as inner alchemy transforming base energy into something subtle and refined. They have parallel practices for third eye training, though they don't use the term Ajna.
What's their method?
The method involves focusing attention on the point between the eyebrows, which they call the yin-tang, while the eyes are closed, and the practitioner is in various qigong postures.
So the yin-tang is the Chinese trikuti, a similar physical location for an internal focus.
Exactly. And the practice involves cultivating the flow of qi, or subtle energy and breath. Taoists believe that qi is the underlying fabric of the universe. By focusing on the yin-tang, they guide this energy upward, concentrating it.
And what's the ultimate Taoist goal here, compared to the yogic goal of samadhi?
The primary Taoist goal is to help students tune into the correct vibration of the universe, gain a solid foundation in energetic flow, and reach more advanced meditative states, like entering the great void. It's about unifying the microcosm of the body with the macrocosm of the cosmos.
How do historians view this vibration of the universe? Is it meant to be a literal sound?
Scholars view this primarily as a powerful symbolic cosmology. The vibration of the universe is really a metaphor for achieving profound harmony, a perfect balance between the practitioner's mind, their body, and the greater natural environment. It's a unifying practice designed to achieve flow and balance, rather than necessarily the specific supernatural perception associated with the yogic third eye.
Okay, let's move now into Buddhism, which grew out of that same Indian tradition. It offers two distinct concepts that are often compared to the third eye, but we need to make an important differentiation here.
Yes, this distinction is crucial for understanding the nuance of these wisdom traditions. There's no single widespread term that translates directly to third eye in Buddhism, but two related ideas exist. First, the divine eye, or divyakaus.
The word divya implies something sacred or divine. So what is this divine eye?
It's an inner meditative faculty. It's categorized as one of the supernormal knowledges, or apija, that are attainable through advanced practice. It's not an inherent feature of humanity, it is an achievement.
And what does this achievement allow a practitioner to perceive?
It grants perception beyond normal sensory limits. So the practitioner can perceive distant objects, even divine realms, and critically understand the karmic destinies of sentient beings.
So you can watch beings die and be reborn based on their accumulated karma?
That's the idea. It supports wisdom, but it isn't salvation itself.
So that's a clear parallel to the expanded awareness sought through the Ajna Chakra. But then we have the second concept, the urine.
The urine is entirely different. This is a physical mark, a tuft of white hair, or a dot located precisely between the Buddha's eyebrows. It's counted among the 32 major marks of a great person. It's a physical sign of an extraordinary being.
So the urine sounds more like a symbol than a faculty.
Precisely. It's an anatomical, symbolic feature unique to fully awakened Buddhas, symbolizing the accumulated merit and perfected wisdom from past lives. An advanced practitioner might acquire the divine eye through sustained meditation, but only a fully awakened Buddha possesses the urine.
So one is an attainable inner vision. The other is an inherent physical sign of ultimate wisdom achieved over countless lifetimes.
A very important distinction.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We've spent a significant amount of time charting the course of these highly controlled, internal disciplined practices, the path of stillness. Now let's pivot entirely. Let's look at techniques designed specifically to induce ecstatic, altered states of consciousness, often using dramatic external stimulation or ritual aids.
We are shifting completely from the path of inner stillness to the path of controlled external shock and stimulation, the domain of shamanism and indigenous traditions. This path seeks inner vision not through quiet concentration, but through ecstasy.
The historian of religion, Mircea Eliade, defined shamanism as an archaic technique of ecstasy. That's such a powerful, almost visceral description.
It is. Shamanism is a complex system that combines mysticism, magic, and religion. The practitioner, the shaman, voluntarily enters an altered state of consciousness, an ASC, to interact with spiritual entities.
Usually heal the sick or guide hunts or locate lost souls.
Exactly. They are masters of spirits who use unconventional techniques to access a non-ordinary supernatural realm.
For many Native American cultures, these ASCs were central even without the use of psychoactive substances. The prime example, particularly among the Plains Indians, is the vision quest.
The vision quest was a rite of passage and a primary means of establishing a personal, spiritual link with the spirit world. It involves intense, voluntary isolation in a secluded, remote spot.
And often without food or water for 4 days and nights.
Yes, it's designed to be a profound physiological challenge. From a modern standpoint, this is a highly effective, culturally contextualized method for inducing an ASC.
How so?
Well, the lack of sensory input combined with the metabolic changes from fasting causes a shift in brainwaves. It often pushes the subject rapidly into an alpha state.
Which is that state where waking and sleeping consciousness sort of overlap.
Exactly, and that makes profound vision-like experiences highly likely. The body and mind are primed for suggestion and visionary insight simply by removing the ordinary stimuli.
So some scholars put traditional healing on a continuum with modern psychotherapy.
They do, because it's a powerful, culturally contextualized dissociative state that leaves the subject highly susceptible to personal revelation and the teachings of the elders. The vision becomes a map for the rest of their life.
Then there's the other widespread non-drug method, which we saw touched on with the mantra, but here it's used much more intensely. Sonic driving and rhythmic stimulation.
Absolutely. Here, it's used as an engine for ecstasy. Intense rhythmic stimulation, chanting, drumming, dancing, rattling acts as a direct concentration device that actually entrains brainwave patterns.
A process known as auditory driving.
Yes. The repetitive sound forces the brainwaves to synchronize and change frequency, moving them toward the slower, deeper rhythms associated with trance and dreaming.
What kind of speed does the rhythm need to be to achieve this trance state successfully? Does it have to be perfectly steady?
The continuous monotonous rhythm is the key. Research suggests the effective range for inducing altered states is wide, possibly from 160 to 400 beats per minute, which is similar to theta brainwaves.
Theta brainwaves being associated with deep meditation, trance, and dreaming.
Right. For Western novices, studies suggest drumming at about 220 beats per minute allows them to journey successfully. This fast, monotonous drumming, sustained without accent or break for at least 15 to 20 minutes, is a direct biochemical shortcut to a dissociative state.
The sources offer a fascinating and almost shocking example of ritual intensity that takes this concept to an extreme. The Salish spirit dance from the Pacific coast of North America. This sounds less like a gentle journey and more like, spiritual sensory warfare.
It is an incredibly intense, systematized process. It's designed to treat what they call spirit illness, which anthropologists equate with severe depression, anxiety, or alienation from traditional ways. The goal is the destruction of the old personality and the creation of a new, socially integrated adult.
So how do they start this transformation?
It begins with intense de-patterning. Initiates are secluded, often blindfolded and confined in a dark cubicle or a smokehouse tent for up to 4 days. They must fast completely, lie still, and are simultaneously subjected to overwhelming kinetic and acoustic stimulation.
Wait, so they are enduring isolation and sensory deprivation while also being violently disturbed?
Precisely. It's a purposeful paradox. They're subjected to loud, rapid drumming, rattling, singing, and are physically lifted, dropped, and whirled about. The combination of sensory deprivation and sensory bombardment, that intense contrast, is profoundly disorienting. It breaks down normal cognitive frameworks.
That psychological pressure, combined with the fasting, must push the body to its absolute edge.
It does. And this process is combined with hyperventilation and exposure to extremes of temperature, running barefoot in the snow, swimming in ice-cold water. All these stressors work together to maximize the physiological response.
And what does that do to the body chemically?
The result is the release of neuroendocrine opioid agents. the body's natural painkillers, which flood the system and produce a peak ecstatic visionary experience.
So this is an engineered spiritual transformation, using physiology to achieve an ecstatic state that leaves them open to new teachings.
Absolutely. The experience leaves the initiates in a dependent, receptive state of hyper-alertness and suggestibility. They are then highly receptive to the elders' teachings, thus shedding the old personality and being presented back to the community as a newly integrated adult. It's a remarkable, if extreme, example.
From the physical extremes of the Salish dance, let's travel down to Mesoamerica, where the shift into altered states relied just as heavily on external aids, specifically plant medicines.
The Maya and Aztec societies utilized psychoactive substances extensively, and scholars now often refer to these as entheogens, a term from the Greek meaning full of the god, inspired, possessed.
So they were not recreational.
No, not at all. They were substances used exclusively in therapeutic, political, and religious rituals to communicate directly with divine powers and gain inner vision.
And this practice is ancient, predating the classic Maya period. So let's break down the key substances the sources identify.
We have substantial evidence. We can start with the use of psilocybin mushrooms.
The Maya consumed Kaisalaj ocox, which was known as tiana cattle, or flesh of the gods, to the Aztecs.
These fungi contain psilocybin and psilocin, causing powerful visual hallucinations and profound shifts in perception. The archaeological evidence, like carved mushroom stones dating back to 1000 BC, points to a very ancient hallucinogenic mushroom cult.
And what's particularly compelling and sometimes disturbing is that the sources note these stones are sometimes associated with warfare, human decapitation cults, and the Mesoamerican ballgame.
Right. The visions may have been used to guide or even justify violent political actions. It changes the context. It wasn't just individual spiritual seeking, it was integrated into state power and violence.
Okay, next we have evidence of the use of morning glory seeds.
Yes, specifically Ololukui and Epomoea tripellar. These humble seeds contain lysergamide alkaloids, which are chemically related to LSD, and produce powerful hallucinogenic visions even in small doses.
How were they prepared?
They were often meticulously prepared, sometimes by grinding hundreds of seeds into a powder and blending them into a cacao beverage, and occasionally combined with psychedelic mushrooms to intensify the experience.
A cocktail designed for an extreme vision. And speaking of extreme and risky, the sources mention the use of the cane toad.
The cane toad, Rhinella marina, was considered a sacred figure and was used for spiritual communication. The skin and parotid glands of this amphibian contain powerful bephotoxins, and this practice really highlights the incredible risk-reward calculation these societies make.
You mean improper preparation could be fatal?
Oh, yes. Improper preparation or excessive consumption of the toxic secretion could absolutely prove fatal. The pursuit of the vision was literally a life-or-death matter.
Which speaks volumes about the value they place on direct spiritual access. What about less intense substances, like the water lily?
The water lily, Nymphaea ampla, was highly significant and widely represented in Maya art, often associated with jaguars and kings. It symbolized rebirth and the underworld.
And its effects were milder.
Much milder. It caused opiate-like effects and was used as a calming sedative and a mild trance inducer, perhaps for less drastic ritual purposes than the mushrooms or the toad. The Maya even named it Niktaha, meaning vulva of the water, symbolizing life and fertility.
And finally, there's a fascinating and almost shocking detail about the administration of some of these entheogens.
Indeed. Archaeological evidence, specifically from late classic ceramic vessels, depicts images of ritual enemas used by the Maya to ingest certain psychoactive substances.
And this wasn't for comfort.
No, it was done explicitly to bypass the digestive tract and intensify the drug's effect, forcing a much quicker and more profound onset of the visionary state. The sources also mention combining psychoactives with fermented beverages like balshe and pulque.
And pulque was sometimes used as a tranquilizer for sacrificial victims.
Yes, during public rituals, showing the incredible level of control these societies exercised over these altered states of consciousness.
So we've charted this course from rigorous inner discipline in India, moving through the unifying energetic flow of Taoism and culminating in these intense, ecstatic external rituals and chemical aids of the Americas. Now, let's turn to how this concept of inner vision was symbolized and rationalized, looking at two very different traditions.
So what does this all mean when we try to synthesize these methods? We need to look at two powerful symbolic interpretations of inner vision, one ancient and one much more modern or esoteric.
And the first is the incredibly recognizable Egyptian eye of Horus, Wajet.
We see this powerful, stylized eye everywhere.
So historically, what did it represent to the ancient Egyptians themselves?
The Eye of Horus was a primary, non-negotiable symbol of protection, royal power, good health, and cosmic order, often associated with the god Horus. It was used frequently on funerary amulets to protect the pharaoh in the afterlife and ward off evil.
And sailors painted on their ships.
They did, on the bows of their vessels to ensure safe sea travel. It's a symbol of wholeness and restoration.
That seems very focused on external protection, monarchy, and physical well-being. So how does that connect to the yogic concept of a spiritual third eye?
Well, the connection is largely a modern interpretive layer. Traditional Egyptology interprets the Wadjet mainly as a symbol of the sun and the monarchy, not explicitly as a meditative tool for expanded perception or spiritual insight in the way the Ajna Chakra is.
So modern esoteric movements created that association.
Exactly, particularly Theosophy. They created an association with inner wisdom and the third eye analogy, linking this powerful symbol across cultures without direct textual support from the ancient Egyptians themselves.
That's a crucial historical clarification. The connection is often projected backward in time by modern spiritual seekers. Now let's jump forward to the late 19th and early 20th centuries and the rise of Theosophy, which provided a specific biological link to the third eye, the pineal gland.
This is where science and esotericism truly collide. Adherents of Theosophy, led by figures like H.P. Blavatsky, suggested that the third eye is actually the partially dormant pineal gland residing deep between the brain's hemispheres.
And Theosophy gave this belief a strong grounding in a kind of evolutionary theory, didn't it?
It did. The belief posits that humans, in ancient evolutionary times, had an actual physical third eye, like a retractable antenna located in the back of the head. This physical eye atrophied over time, shrinking into the tiny internal pineal gland, but retaining its latent spiritual function.
They weren't entirely making that up from thin air. They were drawing an analogy from zoology, right?
Exactly. They compared the human pineal gland to the parietal eye, or third eye, found in some species of reptiles and amphibians. This parietal eye, or epiphysis, is light-sensitive and helps regulate circadian rhythms and navigation even though it doesn't form images.
So the theosophical theory suggests the human pineal gland maintains that light sensitivity and regulatory role, but now it's attuned to higher planes of existence.
That's the idea, a vestigial organ with a new spiritual purpose.
And more recently, this theory of the pineal gland as the seat of transcendent experience has been picked up in the psychedelic research community with the DMT hypothesis.
This is one of the most provocative ideas of modern brain science. Dr. Rick Strassman hypothesized that the pineal gland is responsible for the production and release of DMT dimethyltryptamine,
a powerful, fast-acting entheogen found naturally in many plants.
Right, so the idea isn't just that DMT causes the vision, but that this tiny gland, which ancient systems already considered sacred, might be the brain's internal hardware for producing transcendence naturally.
That's the leap.
That's the leap.
Wow.
Strassman suggested this substance could be excreted in large quantities at the moments of birth and death, linking the pineal gland directly to transcendent states, near-death experiences, and the transition between material existence and whatever lies beyond.
And while the research is far from conclusive,
and many scientists remain skeptical, yes, but it provides a remarkable modern biological echo to the ancient wisdom that points to a center of consciousness in the brain's deep core.
we've explored such a wide array of practices, from the controlled breath and gaze of the yogi to the ecstatic sonic driving of the shaman and the use of entheogens by the Maya. This brings us directly to the core question for you listening. If these ancient practices are so powerful at unlocking expanded awareness, why hasn't modern science definitively proven their spiritual claims?
This is fundamentally a clash of epistemologies, a deep disagreement about the way we know things. Ancient traditions relied on subjective inner experiences, states of intense awareness, intuition, emotional insight, cosmic connection as their primary form of validation.
They relied on lived experience and spiritual lineage.
Exactly, and they communicated these complex, nonlinear experiences using metaphor, cosmology, and ritual context.
Whereas modern science operates on a completely different rulebook.
A completely different rulebook. Modern science focuses on objective, observable, measurable mechanisms that must be replicable by independent observers. Science can measure the effects of these practices on the human body and brain, but it cannot validate the highly subjective spiritual claims.
Like whether a vision was a journey to the spirit world or simply a neurochemical reaction.
Precisely.
So what exactly can science measure when a person is engaging in these practices? What does that tell us?
Science measures correlation, not causation of supernatural perception. For example, meditation is extensively studied, and science confirms it measurably affects attention regulation, emotional processing, and even brain structure over time.
And with psychedelics.
Psychedelic experiences correlate precisely with specific neurochemical effects, which are now being rigorously studied in clinical trials for conditions like depression and PTSD.
And what about the extreme practices like the drumming and the Salish dance? Can science measure what's happening there?
Oh, yes. We can measure the physiological results. Rhythmic stimulation, like that constant drumming, produces measurable brainwave changes through auditory driving, pushing the brain into slower theta states. Even the extreme rituals, with fasting and cold exposure, are definitively linked to the release of those neuroendocrine opioid agents, which produce that powerful feeling of ecstatic peak experience and bliss.
So a neuroscientist can confirm the brain is entering an altered state, a deep theta state maybe, and they can measure the chemical shifts, but they cannot confirm whether the practitioner is actually communicating with a spirit or foretelling the future.
That is the hard limitation. Science provides objective proof of altered states of consciousness and physiological effects. It confirms the mechanism of the internal experience. But it doesn't, and arguably cannot, provide objective proof of the spiritual content or validity of those experiences. They're speaking different languages about the same phenomenon.
And finally, there's the challenge for historians and scholars trying to understand the full picture of this ancient wisdom.
There is a significant challenge of lost context and historical fragmentation. The information we have about the most profound techniques is derived primarily from what survived in generalized, written, or iconographic form.
But so many of these traditions were oral.
They were, and many of the most advanced techniques for cultivating true inner vision were part of secret, oral, or lineage-based teachings.
Meaning the instructions weren't meant for a book, they were meant for a one-on-one transmission.
Precisely. Passed directly from guru to disciple or shaman to apprentice, often requiring specific physiological conditions or mental development only achievable under strict guidance. This makes objective public analysis difficult for historians today.
So we're often missing the fine-grained instructions.
And the necessary context that unlocked the true potential of these practices. It's like having a blueprint for a complex machine, but missing the final proprietary ingredient to make it run.
It seems like we have to treat the symbols, the rituals, and the physiological effects as pieces of a universal map toward deeper human consciousness, acknowledging that the spiritual destination remains a matter of faith and experience.
That's the most productive way to view it. We've synthesized 4 remarkably diverse traditions seeking that heightened state. The yogic concentration on the Ajna to command the mind.
The unifying energetic focus of Taoist key cultivation.
The ecstatic methods of shamanic drumming and entheogenic journeys to connect with the spirit world.
And the enduring symbolic representation found in the Eye of Horus and modern theories about the pineal gland.
Each culture found a powerful, deliberate way to manipulate perception to gain insight, whether through absolute stillness and internal focus or through intense stimulation and external aid.
The third eye, in every iteration, represents humanity's continuous quest for awareness beyond the ordinary senses.
And that quest for the untapped potential within us continues today, informed by these millennia-old experiments in consciousness.
The third eye might not just be a symbol. It could be an invitation to tap into something much greater, an untapped consciousness that lies deep within us all. Critical thinking compels us to evaluate the sources and cultural context of these practices, yet their sheer universality suggests that the impulse to perceive beyond the obvious is a fundamental and necessary aspect of being human.
Hydraulic suspension. Ain't nothing in this world that's stopping me. Ain't nothing in this world that